Hi, Nanette.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey.
we're just getting started, so you're just on time.
Good.
Yes.
I had a little snafu trying to get logged in.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell y'all, Liz sent out the first email and she accidentally sent it to everybody. And I mean like 4,000 people. She's like, I'm like, I've never had 1,000 people in my class before. I don't know if I can handle that. So, yeah, so I imagine that's what the snafu, whatever. That's what the problem is. So I'm glad you're here. So
Me too.
we're going to start by going over the butterfly block. And then I was telling them, then I'll stitch out the bloom block. And that one's the more complicated one. So we'll do that. If I don't mind you guys not being muted as long as we don't have a problem with background noise. So we can start. I'm going to go ahead and start with everybody unmuted. So if you have a question, you can ask it. If we have to mute, then just simply unmute yourself and ask me and then mute again. Or okay, does that sound good?
Okay.
But right
Yes.
now, it sounds like everything's pretty quiet. So I know there's nobody else here, so I don't have any background noise. If you start hearing background noise here, we're in trouble. But okay. So for the butterfly block, well, let me tell you this. Think about this. This is my question. You can think about it during the class and then tell me at the end what you think. Liz was wondering if the Zoom class works for you. Hold on, Kathleen's coming on, so I'll let her in first. Then I'll ask you. Hi, Kathleen. Hey. Okay. So my thing that Liz was wondering, and this is something you can think about at the class tonight, is if you like having the Zoom class like I'm doing it, or if you would rather just receive a video of how to do the blocks at the beginning of the month and not have the class. Okay? So it's just something to think about. Would you rather just have the video of how to do it, or do you like the class and the interaction?
I like the interaction.
Me too.
I don't get much interaction with anybody anymore.
I like the
Like
interaction
this?
too.
And
I
then,
like the interaction too.
okay. And then you like getting the video of this afterwards? Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, well, that was easy. I like having the interaction too, because we just don't get that right now. So it's fun this way.
I like the interaction, but I think the screen jumps around too much when people drop something, or if you don't mute yourself, it jumps around.
That's true. So maybe once I start, I'll have everybody mute. Well, everything's so quiet right now though. If it starts to be a problem, let me know, okay? And then we can mute and do it that way. Okay. All right.
Mom, just to remind everybody, if you hover over somebody's picture, up in the right-hand corner, there'll be a little blue square with 3 dots. You can click on that and select pin, and then it will show only that person all the time.
Oh, so like if you just want to watch me and
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I think, Mom, if you do the same on the video, then it will show just yours. Otherwise, it'll flip between, or I don't know what you have yours set on, if it's gallery or speaker view.
It's on gallery, but I'm going to be going to
speaker view?
I'm going to go to shared screen.
Oh, okay, yeah, that works. That'll work. Actually, then it shouldn't matter. If you're going to shared screen, then it should just stay on you for everybody, I think.
Okay.
Question?
Yes.
Or a suggestion. Everybody, once we get started, if you mute, that's another thing, is if we mute, and only unmute if you have a question, and then remute again.
Okay. Well, why don't we
also
do
help.
that? Let's do that, guys. If everybody will go ahead and mute yourselves, And then, like she said, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to unmute and ask it. But that'll help us out too.
How do you mute?
How do you mute?
Uh-huh.
Katie, can you help with that?
There's at the very end of your screen on the left side, there's a mute button. It says stop video and mute. Just touch that.
Okay.
Just touch there.
Oh,
Do you all see it? At the bottom of the screen on the left side.
Did everybody
where
find
mine-
it okay?
That's where mine is anyway.
I can't hear anybody, so I'm assuming it's good.
the other thing you can do is put your cursor over your own picture, and there should be a little blue button that shows up that says mute.
Kim, is that you moving the square
Yeah.
around?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
It was
okay.
getting busy.
sorry. Okay, so for our pieces, for the butterfly block, we're on page 87. And you have you're gonna cut 16 of these white squares, these 2-inch white squares. You're gonna cut 16 of them. Now I'm only gonna show you a fourth of that right now. So there'll be 16 of these. You're gonna have 8 of these, the 2 by 5-inch rectangles. And you'll have 4 of the 2.5 by 5 inches of the orange half squares. Okay, now I've got these laid out. These are about how they're going to be positioned in the square. Just like this. Now, once you get them in these positions, if you're, I don't know how many people are trying to get their rainbows to go the same direction. But what I've had to do is put mine down and then flip it out like it's going to be flipped to check and make sure that my rainbows were going to end up in the direction that I wanted them to go. And these are going to end up as triangles in the outside corner. Oh, nope, the inside corner. No, the outside corner. Actually, it'd be this way. Hold on. Let's turn it this way. There we go.
Inside corner.
The inside corner. So this one's going the wrong way. There we go. See, if I turn that, then my little rainbows end up going facing down. This one's the wrong way. This was the hardest thing. And I didn't think anything of it until somebody else said something. I was like, well, like that. And this one, like that. And this one, not like that. Now the bottom one goes this way. Okay.
Somebody's not muted.
Okay. So if you're checking that, this is the time to check it now, is to make sure that they're going the right direction. Now, the next thing we got to do is we're going to take a marking pen and a ruler. And on the back sides of these white triangles, we're going to draw our diagonal line. And I normally like to use the air erase pen, so I don't have to worry about it. This one is, it's just an erasable pen.
Are you feeling okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So now for our next step, what we're going to do is we're just going to sew on the line to the outside of that line towards the edge of the rectangle so that we can flip our triangle out when we do it. So I'm just going to take that over here. Well, let's see if I got one here. Okay, so hello, my sewing machine's not. That's fine. Well, this is embarrassing. It's not working for some reason. Okay, guys. Okay. So let's pretend that got done. Hold on one second here. For some reason my machine's not working. Okay. All right. I say bear with me for a minute. I gotta go grab a different machine. I just grabbed one and should have checked it out better before I started using it.
Hey Pam, you're not muted.
I'm not?
No.
Okay. I don't know how to do it. I'll try.
In the bottom left corner of your picture,
I don't have a picture up because I'm not on video. Or I don't think I am.
well, we can see you, so you must be.
I guess so.
Okay, can you see yourself? Can you see yourself, Pam?
Can you hear us, Pam? Did you hear us? Pam,
Oh,
she can't hear anything.
uh-uh.
On the bottom left-hand side of the lower screen.
Okay, guys, let's see. We're gonna go over here. Woo. I don't want to make you dizzy. Okay. You still with me? Okay, cross your fingers. This machine works. Oh, come on. I'm having a heck of a time tonight. You guys have that kind of day?
Kim,
Yes.
it could be your outlet.
I was gonna say, if that's the second machine that doesn't work, check your outlet.
Oh my goodness.
That is
I'm
the,
like,
no, I need that, and then the opposite. Okay.
okay. Turn on.
It's all the same. You just kind of turn it.
Did someone turn a breaker off somewhere on their way out the door?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Here, it's about to calibrate. I hope. There we go. Okay. Now, if I push this over. No.
Yay.
Sounds like it's probably Julie Klawicki. It's Julie. Okay. So as you can see, I went from this top edge to the corner. When I started in the corner, it bunches up. So that's another trick to keep it from bunching. Start where you've got a solid piece going across instead of the corner where both pieces are, you know, thin and easy to slip down into your needle plate. That'll help with some bunching too. Okay. So we're gonna swivel back over here. So what I have now, I've got the two triangles or two squares sewed on. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut, not with these. How about, these are gonna get pressed to the outside corner. These, the same thing, will get pressed to the inside corner. Okay, and scissors.
When you say mute, or I mean, when you say, excuse me, when you say press, are you pressing them all the same direction, or are you pressing it open so that the seam is?
What I'm going to do, Kathleen, is, okay, so we want it to go towards the corner, like this corner. So I'm just gonna press that flap over, just
Okay,
like that,
okay.
okay? And then what I'm gonna do is we don't need 3 layers of fabric there.
Okay.
And I think I talked about this last month just a little bit, but I found that a lot of times, especially beginning, that if I cut away both these 2 pieces, the stripe and the white, if I just cut that away and leave this, my rectangle would get a little off. And so one thing I learned is that what you can do instead is just cut out that inside rectangle.
Okay.
So if I just cut this away, and I'm gonna do it on the other end too, because I can show you what I mean by this on this end. So I'm gonna cut away this inside rectangle too. Okay, now, so I still have my rectangle, and if I flip these out, this one matches up pretty good. But if you notice on this one, I was off a little bit. But by leaving that rectangle there behind it, when I go to line it up to sew it like onto this, I'll line it up not to the white piece, but to the rectangle background.
Got it.
And that helps
Got it.
keep everything square. Good?
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
But won't you be able to see the stripes through the white?
A little bit. If it bothers you, you can cut it away.
Okay.
It's just an option so that if you are off a little bit and you want some help keeping it square, do it this way.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I need that.
But you know what? Too? If you don't want the stripes to show through, you can also just leave that extra white triangle in there, and then you can't see them.
Could you cut the stripe away?
You could. Well, but the reason for keeping it is to keep it square.
Yeah,
So
understood.
if you want to cut it
Understood.
away, yeah, cut the whole thing out.
So Kim, do you have mute power?
I'm sorry?
Do you have mute power? Somebody's TV is really loud.
That TV's terrible.
Who's got the TV on?
I don't know if it's me or not. I can't tell. I don't know how to mute it. I've tried.
Okay, I got you, Pam. I got
Somebody
you, Pam.
has, iPad's not muted, whoever an iPad is, and Sandy's not muted.
Wow, that's 'cause
Well, mine's on mute.
Sandy's good. Pam,
Pam's not muted either.
okay.
I've got it on mute.
You do?
Yes.
I
Well,
can
it's
hear
not,
you.
it's not muted.
You muted her and she
Okay,
unmuted herself.
That's okay. I'll just.
There, now it's muted. Somebody did it.
Okay. You're good, Pam. Okay. So, yeah, if you have a question though, unmute and ask, please. Did that answer everybody's question about this? Okay. All right. So our next step then is going to be to attach our centerpiece. So our wings are going to fly out. And then we'll just sew on these to the sides. So it's just it'll end up looking just like this. Okay. Now, when I press these side pieces, I just press them towards the center. Okay. Just go, that's the least resistant. Just press towards the center. Okay. Now, you're going to make 4 of these for the block. So we'll have 4 of them. They'll look just like this. And like this. And then you just follow your picture, you know, up, across, across, up and down. And then I started by sewing the bottom 2 together. And then sew the top 2 together. And then sew both halves together. Okay. Any questions about this so far? Are we good with the butterfly block? Thumbs up, everybody.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, let's move on then. We're gonna go and take a look at the Celebrate block. Ooh. Okay. All right, this one's just a bit more than the other one. Let me get some stuff out of here. Okay. So with the Celebrate block, you're actually making 2 blocks. Okay. So we're gonna be making 2. Now, what I was planning on doing was to have masking tape to mark the blocks by the letter that they are when you cut them. And then that kind of hit me. I was like, what do you think about using the air erase pen to mark the blocks? I mean, if you're ready to sew them, I think you could go ahead and use that too. But I don't have that with me either. So next time I'll have something like that on hand. I'm gonna try the air erase pen and see how that works. It gives me enough time to sew it together. But for this one, you've got your 4 3 1/4 inch squares. 4 3 1/4 inch squares are the A squares. And okay. Let's come back to that one. Okay, so 4 3 1/4 inch squares in white. That's going to be these 3 4. No, those are 3 inch. Okay, so we're going to look at this as one block. So you're going to have 2 for each one. So this should be 4. You're going to have 2 for one block is 4 and 3 1/4 inch. You're going to have 2 of them for one block. And then you're going to have 4 3 inch squares for one block. Okay. And then you're going to have 13 2.5 inch squares for one block. So you have 26 total. Okay. Now, as it goes down, the blue rainbow and the yellow one goes for the second block and the blue rainbow for the first block. And so you'll have 4 for each block, like 4 yellow for the second block and then 4 blue for the first block. And then for the blue, like the blue navy stripe and the blue flower, you're going to have 1 3 1/4 inch block per block.
Kim,
That makes sense? Yeah,
Kim, this is Sue. Do you hear me?
I do.
Okay. I have to leave because I have another Zoom meeting with my homemakers. So I'm going to leave this, but I'll be able to, I can watch the video.
You'll be able
Thank
to
you
watch
all
the
very
video.
much. I've enjoyed being with you.
All right. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, Sue.
Bye.
Okay. Then we've got,
So I have a question.
yes,
Did you get 4 pieces out of that stripe?
no, you should have 2. Wait,
So you have 2,
no,
you
you
have 2
only
striped
one.
squares.
You're going to have 1 from that stripe. Just 1. 1 3 1/4 inch square.
But there's 4 pieces on the square. Is
It's
it
going to
cut
get
into
cut.
4 pieces?
It's going to get cut.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
this is just where we're starting right here with these pieces. But you're going to have another set in the other colors for the second square. Like, okay, let's call this block 2. this is block 1. So you can see the other colors turn out in block 1. And then this is block 2. Okay? So what we're going to start with, okay, hold on here. We're going to start, and you're going to take your 3-inch squares, and we're going to face them with the 3-inch yellow squares. So we're going to take the 3-inch white square and the 3-inch yellow square, and we're going to put those together. And from these, we're going to make half square triangles. And so on the back sides of the white squares, we're going to start by drawing our diagonal lines.
So this is like the beehive block.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to make half square triangles to start with. So we'll draw our line, and then we'll sew half an inch or 1/4 of an inch. Actually, sew less than 1/4 of an inch. So maybe 1/8 of an inch on each side of the line. And that gives you room to square it up when you're done. So I'm going to start just by making this half square triangle. Let's take this, we'll go to the sewing machine. And this is great. It's got ugly green thread in it, so you can see what I'm stitching here. Okay, so I just stitched about 1/8 of an inch on either side of the line. So now I can just take it and cut right down the center. And then I've got 2 half square triangles. Oops. Okay, and then you take this and press it. Okay, so you're gonna do this for all 4 pieces of these 3-inch yellow and white.
Are you pressing the seams to one side on
I
this
did.
one?
I did. I pressed them
Okay.
to the darker side, away from the white. Okay, so you'll do that. So you'll end up with 16 half square, or no, you won't. You'll end up with 8 half square triangles for 1 block. Okay. Okay, now when these are finished, they should, yes,
I'm confused about the after you draw the line. I'm
yes,
confused about the stitching.
okay,
Can you repeat that again for me, please?
I can. Okay, so on the back, let me draw this line again. Okay, Pam. So we'll
Okay.
put these 2 pieces together. Okay. To make the half square triangle, it tells you to stitch 1/4 of an inch on each side of that center triangle or that center line, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what they want you to do. But what I'm
Okay.
saying
Got
is,
it.
what I'm saying is, so less than 1/4 of an inch.
Okay.
Because sometimes if we go for the 1/4 of an inch, we get our 1/4 of an inch too big. And then if we do that, your half square, your finished piece is going to be too small.
Okay. I got it.
So what I do,
Thank you.
okay, I sew closer to the line
Okay.
and then I'll square this up, the finished piece
Okay.
up. So if I
Okay.
take it now,
So you square them up when you finish them?
I do.
Okay.
I
So you
do.
cut off all
because
those little edges.
I knew that, well, I do it because I know that I cut it bigger than what I stitched it smaller than what I should have,
Okay.
is why I do it that way.
Can you hear me?
I can.
You might need to mute me again. Because the TV's on in the background. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Oh, really? Work with it. Okay.
Hello. Hello, Kim.
Yes, Ursula?
If you want to look here, I got my squares already finished. And what
Yes.
I did is I pressed the seams open.
That's fine, Ursula.
Okay?
Yeah, that's fine. You can do it that way too.
Yeah. But you said something good with the line instead really taking a 1/4 inch, just like an eighth. That
Right.
makes sense.
If you have a hard time with it coming out the right size after you
Yeah.
stitch it, then just stitch closer to the line and that gives you room to square it up like I'm doing here. Is I can just take it and square it up afterwards.
And see, our foot here on a machine, it has 2 measurements. One, it's a 1/4 inch, and the other
Right.
one is less than a 1/4 inch. And that's
Right.
what I took as a guide going. But still, I made my
Good.
pencil mark, and that was just the right measurement from the foot. When you look at the foot, it's the right side who have the 2 measurements on. The one is smaller, and then a little bit farther is the niche, and there comes in the real 1/4 inch,
Right.
and
Right.
that helps.
Right. So you'll end up with 8 of these at 2.5 inches. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I didn't have to trim a lot, just a little bit, even the lines out.
Yeah.
That?
Just a little bit.
What foot are
Yeah.
you using for that?
Yeah.
What am I using for which
The
part?
foot
Pam?
for the seams, the 1/8 inch,
Yes.
less than a 1/4 inch seams.
Between an 1/8 and a 1/4,
Okay. Any special foot?
my 1/4 inch foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a special foot. It's the foot what comes with the machine. You just have to.
Well, the 1/4 inch doesn't come with all of the machines,
Yeah.
but it's the best. It's the best one to have when you're quilting and piecing. It really is.
Yeah. You're right.
It's helpful. Okay. So we've
Kim,
got,
I got a question. Last week you said what stitch to do that in, like a smaller stitch.
yeah, you can use a 2.5 or a 2.
No, but I mean, what was the number? Like mine, okay, 2.5 or a 2.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
for
go
stitch length.
less.
That's for stitch length.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
you can change it.
Okay.
I like a 2 millimeter stitch when I'm piecing. For some reason on my machine, it looks nice and it holds it a little bit tighter. It's just a bear cat to take out if you have to take out stitches though.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So we have 8 of these from one print for each block. Okay. So now we're going to take these and our C blocks, which were the 2.5 inch white ones that we have over here. And we are going to kind of make a little, I don't know if you call this a butterfly or kind of like a bow tie. But we're going to put it together just like this 4 patch I'm doing right here.
Right.
They're going to go together just like this. Okay. So my first step, what I would do is I would sew these 2 together and then sew these bottom 2 together and then come back and sew them to the top. Okay. So
I do have a question about the bees fabric. Do
Yeah.
we need to be mindful of the direction that that's going? Or will it just work itself out?
They go both ways. You can take it the way it just comes.
I think that's up to you. You know, if you can be mindful of it if it's something that's going to bother you and you want the bees and the rainbows to go all the same direction. It can be a little tricky though when you start doing these half square triangles to get them to go the right way.
Okay.
So I'm not going to tell you to do it one way or the other because I think that's really personal choice. Obviously on mine, they're not going to go this, well, no, they are going, well, the bees are not going the same direction as the rainbows, but the flowers are going the right way.
Yeah.
So,
and they're kind of consistently flying toward the center.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like one is going up and one is going sideways.
Right. I'd say don't beat yourself up over it. You know, if you get one going the wrong way, it's personal choice, but I wouldn't beat myself up over it. You know, there's got to be something in there going the wrong direction, right? Something has to.
Bees fly in all different directions.
That's right. So our next step, okay, this one, I did test this out. I tested this out and it worked well. So, and the next section, we're down here where you take part or fabric A, and then you take fabrics E and F. Okay, so let me get these other ones out of the way here. Now, we're gonna make, okay, what do they call that? An hourglass block, a mini hourglass block, but with two different fabrics. So I had done this before with bigger squares, and I thought, I wondered if it would work with this one, because what they have you do is they have you cut this fabric and then repiece the tiny triangles together. There's an easier way to do it, and it worked, and I got the right size. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So what you will do is you will put your two 3-inch squares together, and we're going to sew. I'm going to mark it first. You're going to first start by making a half square triangle. So I'm going to draw my diagonal, and you have to do both of these at the same time to do this one. Get lined up right there. Okay. So they're both marked. Okay, so now I'm going to sew my 1/8 of an inch on both sides of the line on both of these. So we're going to go over to the machine. Okay, now I got to go down the other side. And you see that catching happens to all of us. I don't know if you guys can hear that when I sew. It sounds kind of knocky. I think it needs a new needle. So if your machine gets loud, it's probably because it needs a new needle. Okay. gonna cut down the center here. Okay, and I'm gonna press it open. And we're gonna do all of them. Okay. So I've got 2 of each, right? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one of these with one of these. Each one of those, we're gonna mix them up. This time what we're gonna do is we're gonna put them and we're gonna put them together so that, hold on. You're gonna, when you press your half square triangle, you want that flap to be going towards the dark side. And this one I did incorrectly, so I'm gonna go back and repress it. That will help you out tremendously if you press it towards the dark side. I'm gonna go in that way. That one I did right. Okay. So the reason being now is, you see, we want the striped on one side and the flowers on the other side. And we want our seams going different directions. So the blue be going that way to the left and the flowers will be going to the right. Then what I can do is I can take them and nest them together really snug. And I'm going to use a pin this time. Keep them there. Make sure they don't slip on me. Okay. What we're going to stitch this time is we're going to stitch right across both triangles. Okay, so perpendicular to our other stitch line. So I'm going to take my ruler and draw my line going this way, perpendicular to the other stitch line. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So put these together. And this one going the wrong way. You can fold it back and make sure you're even there. Okay. Yeah. Just gonna line these up. You draw a perpendicular line again. Okay, now I'm going to stitch the same thing. I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch on each side. We'll go back to the machine. That's my pin. Yeah. Okay. This time when we cut through, and we open them up, there's your hourglass block with the two different fabrics, okay? So I'm gonna press this open. Okay, now these should measure 2.5 by 2.5. So once we get that done, we can take it over and square it up. Okay. And I have plenty of extra to trim it up to 2.5 by 2.5. I just need to make sure, I want you guys to see this. See, what I'm looking at is that my 2.5 is on the stitch line here, the fold there. My 2.5 here is on the corner here. And my corner of the ruler is on the fold, the seam line here. And then it also comes up here on the seam line. So I'm not going to be quite as worried that the 2.5 is right in the center as much as I am that they're lined up in the corners. Okay. So I'll just trim these. Okay.
Kim,
Yes.
I do my squaring up with the Tucker trimmer. What ruler are you using?
This is just a square Creative Grids ruler. It's a 6.5. It has a diagonal on it too.
Uh-huh.
I've got another ruler I'm going to show you tonight too that we just got in. It's brand new. It works good for squaring up also.
But that Tucker trimmer does the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's all kinds of them out there. But if you don't have a special ruler, just a square will work wonders for you.
Okay.
So you're going to end up with 4 of these with the two different color triangles. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about how I did that? It looked much easier than cutting apart those little triangles and sewing them back together, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that did look easier. How did you make sure that your rainbows all went the same direction?
Kathleen, I think that was just good luck. Because I didn't. But they do. They're going the same direction. I don't know how I did that.
Okay.
I really did not try. I don't know. I think I just got lucky.
Good job, Kim.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was luck.
That's much easier than using those little teeny tiny squares. That would never work for me.
I know, I saw that and I was like, oh goodness, I don't want to do that. I don't want them to have to do that. Let's see if this works. And it did.
Good.
It probably squares up better that way too.
Right, it did. I think the key though is pressing it towards the dark side and then button those sides together. That really helps. Okay.
Kim, I did I did the first of those two blocks.
Yes. Oh, I can't hear you, Kathleen. Look at the. You're muted, Kathleen.
I did all those cuts individually when I did it the first one.
Yes.
And you know, and it drove me nuts. So
That's what I was afraid of. It would have drove me nuts too.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at where we go from here. Okay. We're gonna jump over to this. So this is the other block. And what I've done is when you finish all of these, you take what's left of your stack of 2-inch squares. And what I did first was I laid it all out, but basically you're gonna sew one of these to the darker side of this one here. You're gonna sew it to the darker side. And you're gonna sew it to the full side of those other triangles. But I think the best thing to do is to lay it out first. You're gonna just lay out your 2-inch squares and put them in order. And then these get sewed together. All these pieces get sewed together, and these get sewed together. And these down here get sewed together. Okay, so I went ahead and did all that. And then the next thing you're gonna do is to divide your block up into 3 sections, and you're gonna come up here to the top 2 rows and sew these 2 together and these 2 together. I'll do that real quick.
So you didn't sew them together when you did them at the beginning?
I'm sorry?
You didn't sew them together at the beginning when you did them?
No.
Okay.
No.
Could you?
I didn't. You could have, well, no, I waited until I laid it out to make sure that I got it on the right side.
Gotcha.
This.
Okay.
So I laid out first. But basically you're gonna sew these together, and then you're gonna sew these 2 to this piece. And then this middle row will sew all together. And then the bottom one will be the same way. You're gonna sew these 2 outer blocks together, and then sew them to this centerpiece here.
And everything's sewn at a 1/4 inch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, use your scant 1/4 inch. Okay. Any questions about this block? Yeah.
Then your block should be in it up to what, 10.5?
Yes, it should be a 10.5 inch square.
For your half square triangles that are like the quarter units, Mom,
Yes.
are you, I guess when you get the square at the corner, are you pressing that open? Yeah, the one your finger's on. Yeah, when you sew the 2 sets of rectangles together, are you gonna press that open, or do you just pick a side? I guess it'd work better open.
It would lay nicer open, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions about this one? Okay, we're gonna move on. I like this block. Once you get through all these pieces, but they'll be much easier doing it this way. Okay, let's get this out of here. All right. Let me do a little housekeeping real quick. Oh, no. Okay. All right, talk amongst yourself for just a minute. I need a little intermission here. I ran out of bobbin thread. So, or actually my bobbin thread's on the wrong bobbin. So give me just a second here. So ladies, I got the best Christmas present this year. I had a very nice couple little elves come to my sewing room and help me organize it. It was wonderful.
That sounds lovely.
It was. It's great.
Is it still clean?
Yes. Actually, Katie, I felt bad because I didn't go in and finish picking up the last little things, but I will. I'm going to.
Sounds good.
It's wonderful. Okay. Okay. All right. This bloom flower. Let's look at the bloom flower. Okay. Okay, so if anybody wants to try and sew along, you're welcome to. I'm gonna go a little bit slower on this one and just kind of make it with you, okay? I figured this one will probably be the toughest one of these tonight. To start off with, we need 2 3 3/4 by 5-inch rectangles, which would be these. We got 2 of them in white. 2 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. These are going to be our B's. And our C's are 2-inch by 5-inch rectangles. So these are our C's. And 4 2-inch squares. Okay. Then we've got 2 1.5 by 8 1/4 inch, which are going to be these long skinny ones here. And 14 1.5 inch squares. And then 2 1 1/4 inch by 4-inch rectangles. Okay. Next, we're going to need, oops, 1 3 1/4 inch yellow rectangle by 6 inches. The red flower is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. That's going to be I. The red rainbow is 4-inch by 4 3/4. The red small flower is 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, then the green rainbow, we've got 2 4.5 inch squares and 1 1.5 by 13 inch strip. I did notice when I cut this that the way the fat eighth was cut, the rainbows go to the sides and not down the center, and I apologize for that. I didn't really know that ahead of time, so the piece that you got is cut with the rainbows going to the side. And then the last one is 2 4.5-inch squares. Okay, so we're gonna start with our yellow rectangle. And our 2-inch squares. 2 of our 2-inch squares. So that's D and H. Now for this one, you want your yellow facing upright, and you're gonna put your rectangle, or your white 1.5-inch square is gonna go in the upper corners of the yellow rectangle, so that when we sew them on and flip it, should have gone this way. No, I'll get it. So when we flip it, it's going to take that corner just like that. So on this side, if your rainbows are facing to the left, they will be right side up when you flip it. And on this one, the rainbows need to point to the right so that when you flip it, they're right side down. If that helps anybody. So what we're going to need to do is to draw our diagonal on those. I drew it the wrong way. Draw your diagonal from the lower left corner to the upper right corner. And then for the right one, you're going to draw it from the upper left to the lower right. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to go to the sewing machine and sew to the outside of that line. So it's towards the corner. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take it over and press it.
Now, did you sew on your line or did you sew on the 1/8 of an
Let me
over?
see if I can show you here. I didn't sew an 1/8. I sewed to the outside of the line. So I'm right next to my purple line.
Okay.
we're gonna be doing this corner thing a lot throughout this quilt. We're all gonna be really practiced at it. It's not one of my favorite ones to sew. I'll be honest with you. Sewing triangles are not my favorite. But by the end of this quilt, they might be. Okay.
I like my wool pressing mat.
I love it. It makes the seam really nice. Okay. Now, after this, this unit should measure 3 1/4 by 6 inches wide. If anybody's worried about that, that's how wide it should be. I've still got my yellow rectangle on there, so I'm not gonna worry about it because I know that's the right size. Okay, now we're going to go further and take our B blocks, and one of these is going to get sewn onto each side. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that.